Hello, friends. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about a very important word. The word is patience. It's interesting. Now, we know that the Bible says that God is love, and when the apostle began to describe love, the very first word that he used was, he said, love is patient. Did you know that God is patient? How patient are you? How patient am I? Those are questions that we need to ask ourselves. And, you know, um, I think for starters, it's a good thing to point out what patience is and what it isn't. For starters, when it says one thing that patient isn't, that sometimes people think that it is, some people think that patience is just the lazy uh, attitude of sitting around and waiting for God to bring something to pass in our life without us participating in the process. I know that God promised this, and so I'm just sitting here waiting until He makes it a reality. But in Hebrews, the 6th chapter, the Bible tells us, it says that you be not slothful or lazy, but to be an imitator of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. So, patience is not the lazy attitude of just sitting around doing nothing and waiting for God to make something happen, but instead, uh, patience has to do with once we have faith in a promise that God has made to us, it's going to take, I like the way the Amplified Version describes the word patient. It defines it as steadfast endurance in the face of suffering. You know, in other words, what patience is all about, it has to do with the ability to retain a worthwhile goal for as long as it takes, being fully confident and persuaded that God wouldn't have promised that this would become a reality in our life if it was outside our reach. So, patience has to do with the ability to hang on to that goal when everything that we can see, feel, touch, or taste seems like it's never going to happen. But instead, patience has to do with the ability to gather anything and everything, all the information that we need that relates to a promise that God has made for us, and then to begin the process of putting those things into practice. Now, the reason why the Amplified said steadfast endurance in the face of suffering is because it can be pretty painful when we see how far short we come of putting into practice some of the things that God has said for us to do. But you know what? Patience is all about being able to hold on to that and not casting away our confidence, which is going to have a great reward. We have need of this steadfast endurance to as we put into practice the things that God has said in our life, we're going to see them through the course of time. We're going to see those things come to pass in our life. You know, it says that love suffers and endures long, and yet it never fails. And so that's why we see it's so important that we recognize and realize that just because we have a promise from God doesn't mean it's going to happen quickly or immediately. But we do need to hang on to that confidence that we have and patiently put into practice the things that God has told us to do, and we will see those things come to pass in our life. God bless you. Have a great week.